So, selling himself down in the corner, this was recorded just between Christmas and New Year, is an aficionado of comedy. We decided what we were going to call him. In the studio with us this morning is Mark McCaighey. Good morning to you, Mark.
Good morning, Phil. Lovely to be here.
I did say to you to be hiding a little bit behind some of the tinsel. This was not 12th night when we did this interview, so it's still here. And you said you were going to have...
tinselitis.
You see, that's the kind of thing we're up against this morning. But actually, Marco's got some amazing comedy for us to talk about today. In this particular episode, Morecambe and Wise.
Yes, the Christmas shows that used to be a big part of British television Christmases back in the 70s and 80s were the Morecambe and Wise shows. They
still very much repeat on BBC Two these days.
Yeah, they are, very much. It was back in 1969 that the first one came on, BBC One.
Just about in colour, Mark, at that time?
It would have been, yeah, just about in colour, yeah. Actually, they started on BBC Two, they started in colour on BBC Two, because BBC Two was the first channel to be in colour back in the late 60s. On the 1969 show, they had Frankie Vaughan back then, who...
Frankie Vaughan, give me the moonlight hat and cane.
That's right, hat and cane. And he was actually the butt of their jokes, but he didn't like it. So they changed it to what we know, obviously, later on, be Des O'Connor.
So was it the first, if you like, guest that they took the mickey out of? Is that where it all started for Morecambe and Wise? Bring them on stage. The old golden curtain, of course. They peek through the curtain, either Eric or Ernie, or someone would make a false stage exit. Oh, they're looking left, and the guest came in from the right. Yeah. Was it that 1969 when that sort of started?
I would think so, yeah, because they had a different writer then. It was Eddie Braden had taken over their writing from when they were at ITV. It was Dick Hills and Sid Green were the writers, and it was Eddie that created the different kinds of characters that we all kind of knew them to become. Ernie being the writer and Eric taking the mickey out of the guests. So it's probably started around that time, yeah. So 1969 was their first one, and then they had a show in 1970, a Christmas one in 1970, and in 1971 the famous sketch with André Previn, or as Eric Morecambe called him, Andrew Preview.
Yes, Mr. Preview.
Yeah, or Privet.
And they'd started their career, Morecambe and Wise, before they got to this point. I mean, they were starting to reach their real zenith, weren't they, in 1971? Yeah. They'd been working on commercial television, so they'd been with ITV during the 1960s in black and white.
Yeah, that's right. They did a show called Two of a Kind for ATV. It was written by Dick Hills and Sid Green. And
Associated Television from the Midlands.
That's right, yeah. They also had a studio in London, I think, as well. Yeah, they did all that, and then it was moving to BBC. Became what we remember of them, really, in colour. So, of course, they had the André Previn.
Or Preview.
Or Preview, yeah, as I said. Yeah, and he was quite busy with other commitments, so he actually learnt the script on his transatlantic flight from America over to Britain to do the sketch with them, and he won high praise from his co-performers. Maybe we can listen to that sketch now.
And Eric Morecambe was very, very nervous that this really wasn't going to work out, and you can almost see him as the sketch develops and starts and they get through a few lines beginning to go, this is going to work. And he begins to relax.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
And the lovely thing, if you've ever seen it visually, if you've ever seen the clip you're about to hear from, or hear right now, is the corpsing of the orchestra.
Yes, you can all have me a good laugh in the back.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the highlight of the evening, a truly great international star. Good evening. And now we have another famous person here from the world of music. Let's give a warm welcome to the principal conductor from the London Symphony Orchestra, Mr. André Previn. Sir, thank you for bringing your many musical talents to our humble little show.
Well, thank you for that tremendous introduction. It doesn't come out of my fee, does it?
Fee? What fee? Oh, joke. I suppose you're looking forward to the night, are you?
Oh, well, now, who wouldn't?
It's exciting, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I tell you, I'd come a long way to conduct the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto, especially with Yehudi Menuhin as my soloist.
Yes.
I mean, I'll tell you the truth. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't going to come on your show at all until you told me that Mr. Menuhin had agreed to play. Yes.
I did say that, did I?
Oh, yes. By the way, has Yehudi arrived?
Who? Yehudi
Menuhin, yes.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. As a matter of fact, I mean, I can explain the whole situation. It wouldn't take a minute. Well, what do you know? What do you know? A telegram. Telegram from out of... Oh, dearie me. Yes, yes. It's from Yehudi.
Who?
Yehudi Menuhin.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes.
Yeah.
What does he say?
He says... Oh, he can't come. Isn't that a shame? He says, "Dear boys, can't make it tonight on your show. Opening at the Argyle Theatre, Birkenhead in Old King Cole." What a shame. Isn't that a shame?
Yes,
Isn't it?
Good night, Mr. Wise. Yes.
No, no, please. Please, don't go. I mean, there are other great musicians, other great works.
Such as?
Grieg's Piano Concerto.
That's a great work.
Yes.
You're right. Great work. But I mean, do you have someone of the caliber of Mr. Menuhin in mind?
Who?
Yehudi.
Oh, Yehudi
Yes.
Menuhin. Better.
You have someone better than Yehudi Menuhin.
Can knock spots off him. I think you're in for the thrill of a lifetime.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, here to play Grieg's Piano Concerto is Mr. Eric Morecambe.
It's fixed.
Eric, say hello to Mr. Preview.
Ah, Mr. Preview, how are you? A pleasure to be with you and ready when you are. Come on.
Wait a
Two, one, two, three.
You got me here under false pretenses.
False pretenses?
False pretenses? What's he mean? What's he mean?
Well, I told you it wouldn't work. He's expecting Yehudi Menuhin.
He's a comedian.
And a very funny one, too. I must be honest, he makes me laugh when he puts a violin under his chin, gets to the last note and shouts, "Hi, hi, that's your love!" and goes straight to the bar. I'm very keen on him.
Eric Morecambe is a comic. He can't play the piano.
Just a moment, sir. You seem to doubt my musical prowess.
I certainly do.
Now let me put your mind at rest, sir. Because you are now looking at one of the few men who have actually fished off the end of Sir Henry Wood's promenade. Now follow that with the sea lions.
I was there when he did it.
Of course you were. You put the bait on.
I put the bait.
Good night, gentlemen.
Just a moment, just a
Please,
moment.
please,
Please,
don't
what's the matter with
go,
you? What's the
Mr.
matter with you?
But look here, I don't dispute for one moment that Mr. Morecambe is a great comic.
Yes.
I find it difficult to believe that he can play the Grieg Piano Concerto.
Well, I do assure you he knows all the class. I do assure you, Mr. Preview.
Privet.
Previn.
All the masterpieces he knows them. The Planet Suite by Gustav Holst.
Not forgetting the three-piece suite by Arthur Negus. Who was it, do you think? Now look at me when I'm talking. Oh, you are. Who was it, do you think, that introduced Glenda Jackson to Tchaikovsky?
I don't know.
Me!
Him?
Wasn't it?
Yes,
Yeah, and if you don't believe me, you can get in touch with the other world-famous conductor, Sir Ivy Benson. He'll tell you all about me, won't he?
Certainly will.
Good night.
No. Don't
what's
go,
the matter
Mr.
with him?
Preview. Don't go, Mr. Preview. I can...
Previn.
I can assure you that Eric is more than capable.
Well, all right. I'll go get my baton.
Please do that.
Yes, it's in Chicago.
It's-
Ow! He's in!
He's
I
in.
like him.
We've got one here.
Yes.
All right? Believe me, you're in for a surprise, Mr. Preview.
Previn.
Privet.
Open the curtains, please.
Yes. I go.
This is the band?
This is the band, yeah.
Seen better bands on a cigar. Which one's a fixer?
Which one?
Which one?
The one in the gold army suit.
They usually are. Right. I'll go get the music. Incidentally, where's the piano?
It's...
Never mind, this will do. Now, you hope, sir, that you understand all these squiggly lines.
I think so.
Oh,
I think
good.
so, yes.
Because the reason I ask is, the second movement is most important to me.
Right.
You see, in the second movement, not too heavy on the banjos.
Oh, no.
You know the banjo, keep it down.
No.
What's that? Honk-chang, honk-chang. Vulgar.
We'll keep it way down.
That's the word I was looking for, way down.
Good.
Yes. That's very good.
Good.
Because that is me there, you see.
Oh,
That is
lovely.
Hey,
Lovely.
me playing the Greek piano
Yes,
concerto.
yes.
A signed autograph later on, boys.
Now, if I could just explain to Mr. Preview. You see, I want you to notice that Eric does play the original version of Grieg's Piano Concerto.
Yes, the one we played before we went decimal.
You got Yes, but now look here. Wait, though. This is not the original version.
Not the original?
No.
What do you mean?
Look, I'll explain. It's very simple.
Yeah.
After the opening timpani roll, in the original version, the piano takes over, and here you've got that piece played by the full orchestra.
Ah, yes, but this is a special arrangement.
Yes.
A special arrangement of the Grieg piano concerto?
Yes.
Yes.
I've never heard of that before.
But that's the idea. I mean, everybody plays it this way. I thought we'd do something different.
All right, look, whatever you say. Whatever you say.
All right, I'll announce it, shall I?
Yes, do that.
You're doing well. You're doing well.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, Grieg's Piano Concerto by Grieg. Soloist, Mr. Eric Morecambe, conducted by Mr. André Previn. Thank you.
What's the matter?
What happened? The introduction.
What's wrong? The introduction's wrong?
Like, it's too short.
It's too short.
Oh, you noticed?
Yes. By how much is it too short?
Well, you see, I went down here like that.
Yeah.
I came back.
You wasted some time there.
I wasted
Yes.
time there, yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, you see, it's about, I would say about that much.
About a yard?
It's about a yard.
About a yard.
About a year.
Yes, if you could lengthen it by about a yard, we'll be in.
And what do you think we can do about that?
Well,
Well, I mean, that's nothing to do with me.
Well, we have
My
to
musical
get permission.
manager, he does all this.
could we get in touch with Grieg?
That's a good idea.
You call him on the phone?
Well, we can call him on the phone,
What a
why
shame
not?
I didn't bring his phone number.
Well, it's Norway, something or other, isn't it?
What's the code?
Singles cave or
I
something.
think it's
Mind you, I mean, you might not get him. He could be out skiing.
Look. Could we just try it again? Just try it again.
I tell you what.
Yes.
This time,
Yes.
I'll sit down there waiting.
What a good thought.
Hey!
You'd be ready.
He's in, isn't he?
Come on.
I'll announce it again.
All right, do that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Grieg's Piano Concerto, soloist Eric Morecambe, conductor Mr. André Previn.
Well, anytime.
Could I have a word with you, please? You see, I hope you don't mind me saying this.
No.
But when you got to the part which was my cue, I couldn't see you for the lid of the piano.
Yes.
The lid of the piano was in the way.
Was it?
Yes.
Yes. It was in the way. In the way, the lid of the piano.
I don't know I don't know what we can do about it.
He wants to be taller, does he?
Yeah.
Could you wear high heels?
Again?
Oh,
Well, no. I mean, you don't have to, you know.
I don't know what we can do about that.
Well, I have a suggestion. Would you jump up in the air? So I can see you over the lid of the piano. If you could jump up.
You want me to actually jump into the air on the rostrum in order so you can see my cue?
Yes, I mean, that's if you do that for me, you know, if you do that.
Yes, I'll do that for you.
I'll announce it again.
Yes. He's a nice man, isn't he?
Isn't he
I
charming?
like him.
He's very good. Grieg by With Him and Him.
Something wrong with the violins?
No, there's nothing wrong with the violins.
That's only your opinion.
What were you playing just then?
The Greek piano concerto.
You're playing all the wrong notes.
I'm playing all the right notes, but not necessarily in the right order. I'll give you that. I'll give you that, sunshine.
That sounded quite reasonable to me. Are you satisfied, Mr. Preview?
No! What do you mean, no?
I'm not satisfied.
Why not?
Well, look here, I mean, with all due deference, would you mind just wait 1 second here?
Don't forget, for another £4, we could have got Edward Heath. Rubbish.
That was the incomparable Morecambe and Wise, along with André Previn, or should I say Previn, at first broadcast. When was that, Mark?
It was December 1971, Christmas Day 71.
As early as that? I thought it was something like the mid-1970s. I remember that one from, but gosh, it goes back a long way.
Yeah.
And for years, taxi drivers were calling André Previn, André Previn, Mr. Previews in my taxi.
Yes, and when André did a concert and he was playing the Grieg Concerto, he had to allow the audience to get their giggles out of the way before he started because of their memories of the sketch.
Classic BBC comedy
It
from
is
the
indeed.
1970s, that one. So moving along on the timeline of Morecambe and Wise.
In 72 they were back, but not with the same writer, Eddie Braden. He had suffered a breakdown at that point. So instead, the Christmas show was written by Barry Cryer and John Junkin. And in that 1972 show, Glenda Jackson made her first appearance in a Victoria and Albert play. In 1974, just jumping ahead, there was no show as Eric became ill. He had caught flu not long before the time to record it, so the show was cancelled, and instead there was a Michael Parkinson interview on Christmas night with Morecambe and Wise, looking back at some of their most memorable clips from previous shows. No new footage, just an interview, and that went out about 11:25 on Christmas nights. The usual earlier evening slot was filled with the Mike Yarwood show, which was just as popular and gained just as big an audience as their show always did.
What would have happened then, Mark, to all the material that would have been written that was ready to record? Presumably they'd already gone into rehearsals. Is it lost to us?
Might well be, yeah. It's a shame, really, because there's probably some good stuff there. 1975, Des O'Connor made his appearance as a guest in one of the most repeated pieces of material from the show, where he has a comical go at them for their insults.
He made several appearances,
He did. He was a good friend of theirs, really. He appeared in that, and that was the show where they talked through all the insults that they've played on him.
Always the butt of their jokes, Des O'Connor.
In 1976, again, it was written by Barry Cryer and John Junkin, this one, who replaced Eddie Braden. It was a sketch in this edition in which John Thaw and Dennis Watton from the Sweeney appeared in a World War II sketch. They agreed to appear on the show if Eric and Ernie would appear on the Sweeney, which they did a couple of years later in an episode entitled Heart and Minds, where they played themselves as entertainers in a nightclub where the Sweeney were investigating a murder. Eric joked that we really play ourselves a cheap music hall act.
It was one of Ernie's plays, what he wrote,
I guess.
guess.
Yes.
Which is always one of the little sections at the end of the show,
That's
wasn't it?
right,
Always?
yeah. Also on that show, Will Elton John and Anza Riffin made a cameo appearance.
Oh, the famous legs. There may be music.
Yep.
And was it lights?
Music and laughter, I think, was it?
So let's dance.
Yeah.
She showed the legs to the audience, and
That's
it was
right.
big in the newspapers at the time.
It was big at the time because people just seen her as a newsreader, and then you kind of break out of that mould, and it's just people go, wow.
One of the first lady newsreaders, and at the time as well, she'd been formally trained in dance before she became a newscaster.
She was a trained dancer, so that was all kind of new to people as well. So it's quite different in those days when people did those sort of things as opposed to now when it's not, no big deal. But so that was the famous dance routine, and Des O'Connor as well appeared again, but in a cameo. In 1977, their final Christmas show for BBC, which attracted record audiences of almost 29 million viewers, which was more than half the population of the country at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, and the Mike Yarwood show preceded it, attracted the same audience figures, so they were sort of on equal footing there. The Christmas show for 77 boasted the longest guest lists of all their shows. They had 3 of the stars from Dad's Army, they had 3 of the stars from The Good Life, they had Elton John, and there was a host of news presenters took part in There's Nothing Like a Day.
Oh yes, the famous one.
Yeah.
With this famous somersaulting
That's right.
took place as well.
Obviously by stunt
which looked
doubles.
very good.
Yes.
It was very convincing.
Very well done for the time, really. Had the likes of Barry Norman, Mike Arspel, Eddie Waring dancing around in sailor outfits. And Angela Rippon also made another appearance, which had been intended that she would be a surprise appearance, but news leaked of her contribution days before, and the BBC began an investigation into how the leak occurred, and press reports claimed that the staff were fired from the corporation due to the leak. So it was like a kind of a big thing, really. So yeah, the viewing figures for that show were massive. They actually beat the Jubilee Royal Variety Show that year as well. It came 3rd in the ratings.
Oh yes, the Royal Jubilee, 25 years on
Yeah,
the
that's
throne
right,
for Queen Elizabeth II in 1977 indeed.
That's right, and ITV's Christmas night opposition were basically to have the 1972 Simon Ward movie, Young Winston, about Winston Churchill, and the Stanley Baxter's Greatest Hits were their 2 big things on their side, but trying to compete against Morecambe Wise wasn't an easy thing, really.
Almost invincible at that stage. I mean, they had such a reputation, and with those that reach, those numbers of figures in the audience.
I know,
amazing.
it was pretty difficult to kind of...
Times, I think, Mark, we'll never see again.
No, not with just 3 channels.
That was the thing. There were only 3 channels. There's only 3 ways you could go after all.
That's right.
Everyone headed to see Morecambe and Wise on the BBC.
That's right, yeah. So the competition was kind of not as fierce as it is nowadays. In 1978, they had joined Thames Television, ITV, having moved that year, and they made their first special for Thames in October. So in December, their Christmas show was a second outing for the new station. Their usual writer, Eddie Braden, was absent as he was still under contract with the BBC. So again, Barry Cryer and John Junkin wrote it, and it featured what was planned to be a surprise appearance by the former Prime Minister Harold Wilson, but the secret had been let out of the bag several weeks before by the press, and also appeared in that show were Leonard Rossiter, who did a fabulous 40s segment where he appeared as one of the Andrews sisters along with Eric and Ernie. BBC, on the other hand, had to make do with the previous year's Christmas show, which was edited down to about 55 minutes and repackaged as the best of, and was shown at the same time as the brand new ITV show was shown.
So they pitched Eric and Ernie again, between the commercial sector of broadcasting and the BBC simultaneously.
Yeah, so for that year you actually had them on both channels at the same time on Christmas night. So you ever looked at the old show or you looked at a new one. This big attraction on Christmas night. The BBC offering that night was also Mike Yarwood's show, because she had become the natural successor to the Morecambe Wise show with the audience figures he attracted as well.
Mike Yarwood used to suffer terrible stage fright.
Yeah.
His nerves would almost get the better of him.
Yeah.
In fact, in the end, I think it was why he left show business.
Yeah, he did, unfortunately, sort of become alcoholic, really. Moving on to 1979, and that was the year in which Eric suffered his second heart attack and had a bypass operation that year. So there was no actual Christmas show as we know it, but they did appear with David Frost, who interviewed them about their long careers in show business. Des O'Connor and Glenda Jackson did appear on the programme as well, though. In 1980, it was kind of back to normal again with the regular writer Eddie Braden, now back with them. The show featured a number of sketches that had previously been seen on their BBC shows, only with different guests such as Eric Guinness. But the thing with a lot of the ITV shows were they kind of did rehash a lot of the old sketches, really. There wasn't a great deal of new material. In 1981, they were back with another Christmas show, attracted about 16.6 million viewers. And this was the first of their Christmas offerings not to be broadcast on Christmas Day, but was actually broadcast on December the 23rd. The reason for that was probably due to the fact that up until 1982, the programme makers, Thames Television, only operated from Monday at 9:25.
Oh, that's right. And then you had London Weekend Television.
From 9:25 on a Monday until Friday at 7. So, and as Christmas Day was on a Friday, London Weekend held the franchise to broadcast that evening. So that's probably why they went on Christmas Day. Guests in that show included Sir Ralph Richardson and Suzanne Danielle. In 1982, they were back again, not on Christmas night, but on December the 27th. And basically the show was a lot of reworkings of old sketches. The final Christmas show was 83, attracted about 11.2 million. And again, it features some of sort of rehashed material from Eddie Braden's earlier BBC shows. Eric died the following year from his third heart attack on May the 14th. That was the end of Morecambe Wise on Christmas nights, really, in 1883.
And Eric Morecambe, working so hard as he did, often ignored, if you like, the little signs in his health that told him that he really should slow down, should stop. And in the end, he did get very, very unwell, because working especially on the Christmas shows really, really took it out of him, and probably, in a way, added to the possibility of having another heart attack. And sadly, that third one was the one that took his life.
Yeah, it was. It's just the stress of the Christmas shows. He really would think so far ahead each year to get material for it and look forward to doing it all. So yeah, I think they really wanted to get it. They always wanted to make each show better than the last one as well. So there was always that pressure.
And in a way, that traditional era of comedy, we started to move then towards alternative comedy, which took over.
That's right.
Maybe it was good that Eric Morecambe died, sad though it was, when he did, because it meant there was no real decline in Eric and Ernie, which might have happened if they'd carried on using the formula that they had up until that point.
Yes, because that sort of style of comedy and them sort of comedians were kind of becoming a little bit less popular, I suppose, really, with the new generations of comedy stars coming up.
Such as the Not the 9 o'clock News, which was kind of landmark television in comedy.
That's right,
wasn't it?
and young ones in '82 with the late Rick Mail, and that was kind of quite groundbreaking, really, in forms of the way that show was done, in that it was almost like a variety show in a way, because it had music in the middle of it, which made it different from the regular sitcoms and things that were going around at the time.
Mark, thank you very much. A very interesting insight to the timeline of the later years of Morecambe and Wise on British television.
It was a pleasure. Thanks very much, Phil, for having me on.
And in the future, we'll have you back on to talk about other such fine classics as Only Fools and Horses.
Yes, that would be lovely jubbly, Phil.
Thank you very much, Mark.